Hello, this is Monica Sawyer. Welcome to Real Estate Investing for Women, where we focus on all aspects of real estate investing, including strategies, mindset, emotional mastery, money smarts, and so much more to ensure your success. If you'd like to learn my personal favorite investing strategy, just go to blissfulinvestor.com. You can also listen to this episode on the Real Estate Investing for Women podcast on iTunes. Now, let's welcome our guest. Today, I am so excited to welcome to the show Toni Maree Torrey. Australian-born, now based in Los Angeles, Toni Maree has been dubbed LA's foremost success coach. She is founder of the Innate Wisdom Business Council and host of the Legacy in the Making show in video podcast. For the last 18 years, Toni Maree has been hired by CEOs, celebrities, and top performers to help them transform limitations into strengths, amplify their instincts, and have a profound impact on the world. She combines the power of traditional coaching and psychology with evidence-based advanced modalities, that's a mouthful, in a proven 9-phase legacy maker coaching system. Her vision is to empower thousands of leaders to activate their inner wisdom and create unprecedented results, all without sacrificing their health, relationships, or well-being. Hello there, Toni Maree. Welcome to the show.
Hello, Monica. I am so thrilled to be here. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Yeah, my pleasure. We've had so much fun chatting a couple of times, and now I just can't wait to share you with my ladies. This is going to be awesome. So, Toni Maree, start by just giving us kind of a high level of your story.
Wow. Well, I'm 58, so it's been a long one. But if we're going to just check a couple of boxes with some highlights and lowlights. I came over to the US when I was 28 years old with nothing but a backpack. And as a typical high achiever, my dad was a colonel in the Australian Army who had always wanted a son. And I really took that on as it meaning that there was something innately wrong with me. And I tried to resolve that by being a massive high achiever. And I had a million plates spinning. I was high level in the corporate world. I was investing in real estate. I was brokering mortgage loans and raising a family. And no big surprise, I got pretty darn burnt out, which culminated, Monica, in a panic attack on the freeway where I nearly took myself out and other motorists out as well.
Oh, wow.
So I don't know if you've ever had to deal with anxiety at all, but maybe some of your listeners have. And I can tell you that they call it a panic attack for a reason. It's no fun.
Yeah.
And it was in that moment when I managed to get to the side of the freeway and I was white knuckling the steering wheel that I looked up at the heavens and I said, something has to change. And so I remade my life and eventually left the corporate world. That was a bit of a journey. I trained as a coach and then got a zillion other certifications as well because,
That's what we do.
I am a lifelong, because it's what we do, right?
Yeah.
And I'm a lifelong learner.
Yeah.
And just developed this new way of doing life. And now I help other people develop their own new way of doing life. And a lot of the work that I do is around helping people really get in touch with their purpose and their values and their mission, and then making really clean and clear decisions for their lives from that place.
Mm-hmm. You have so much wisdom to offer, and I wish that we could do like 4 shows just with you, Toni Maree. We can't do that. So I love the idea of talking about purpose. But we have had people come on to the show talking about that before. Certainly probably not as good as you, but it's been covered. The thing that has not been covered, and I think is such an imperative for women or for anybody, but for people in business, is really becoming decisive. I heard a long time ago as I was starting in my own business journey that you will be directly as successful as you are decisive. And I don't think it's a complete correlation, but I do know that I experience much more success and bliss in my life when I'm able to be decisive, as opposed to when I hem and haw and wonder and waddle. All of those things cause a level of energetic stress
Mm-hmm.
that brings down your business, but more importantly, it brings down your bliss. So this idea of being really decisive, it doesn't mean that you have to make rash decisions, but it means that you should feel confident that you can make a decision and then trust those decisions. And I find that when I'm able
Absolutely.
to do that, I'm much happier. So I so want you to talk about that today. Does that
Yes.
sound
And
cool?
oh, yes, I would love to talk about decision-making superpowers and
Yes.
to teach your audience how it is that they can develop their own decision-making superpowers.
Yay. So let's dive into that then. So I know you've got a 6-step process on how to make good, effective decisions. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
I do. And before I teach you the exact process, let's talk a little bit about the neuroscience of making decisions. Because one of the beautiful things about all the medical technology we have now is that we can really see what is going on in people's bodies and brains, and where the energy is and where synapses are firing and all that kind of stuff. And so we know so much more now than we ever used to about how people process information. I call it data because we're surrounded by data all the time. And how it is that we can actually effectively process that data, which includes the stuff that is not right in front of us, that we are not consciously aware of, the stuff that we are aware of at a subconscious level as well. So that's really, if I were to give you one trick and encapsulate it, Monica, it would be make sure that your conscious and your subconscious intelligences are connected. And that 6-step process that we were talking about is how we connect all those bits of wiring together.
Okay, awesome.
Cool.
Yeah.
So should I just jump on in and
I'm so excited.
share?
I'm like, I don't even want to cut you off. Just go.
All right, I'll just keep on going. You just tell me to shut up. You'll keep on going. You tell me to shut up when you need me to.
Yes. Go ahead.
Okay. So we have our 3 main intelligences, and there are actually brain type cells, not just in our brains, but also in our hearts and in our guts. And if you think about it, our language has reflected this for a long time and acknowledged it. We say things like, my heart wasn't in it, or I had a gut reaction, or my gut just doesn't feel comfortable with this. Like, we've recognized the existence of those intelligences, but we haven't really, especially in the West, done a very good job of learning how to access those things and get all those systems to communicate with each other. And so each of these systems has its own unique kind of intelligence and even its own language. And so the brain is the one that we've been taught to honor and listen to in the West. And it's extremely helpful, but it's not actually the CEO of our lives. It's the processor. And so what we really want to do is we want to access our heart and have our heart be the CEO. And that's why so many people do talk about purpose and mission and values and all those things, because those are the things that our heart care about. And so there is a specific order in which we want to consult our intelligences. And the gut is the seat of our courage, our digestion of information as well as food, and our ability to mobilize. So we need that, and then we need the head to kind of sort through everything, and then we need to double check again with our heart. So essentially, the process that I take people through is to start getting in relationship with these other intelligences. And so I teach people, literally, I'll have to stand on my tippy toes here, put your hand on your heart. And actually, Monica, if you like, maybe you can do it along with me.
Mm-hmm.
And you put your hand on your heart and you literally introduce yourself to yourself. And taking 3 slow, deep breaths is really important. The breath is what's known as a bridge mechanism. And there are only a couple of bridge mechanisms that we have. And what that means is it's a mechanism that we can do automatically, which is the subconscious side of our processing, and we can control it consciously as well. And funnily enough, Monica, one of the other bridge mechanisms we have is swallowing. That's something that we do subconsciously, automatically when we're asleep, but we can also choose to do it and choose the timing of it. So that's why, like, the mystics for centuries have been telling us to do breath practices. And as a client of mine once said, when I was taking her through a process where we were, she had drowned actually, and so we were going through and we were taking the stress off that trauma for her, and she kept on holding her breath, and I kept on having to remind her to breathe. Sorry, I just knocked the microphone. I'm getting all handy.
Excited.
And finally, towards the end of it, she said to me, "Oh, I get it. You can't have inspiration without respiration."
It's so true. Oh my
And
goodness, I love that.
Isn't that great? Like,
Yeah.
we really need to harness the power of our breath. So you put your hand on your heart and you take 3 deep belly breaths, which is starting to engage the gut as well. And then you just kind of say, "Hello, heart. This is me." Maybe you've got something that you want to make a decision about, or maybe not. Maybe you just want to start getting in the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And then you transition your attention, and you can do it with your hand, and you put it down on your gut, kind of like if this is your belly button,
Mm-hmm.
and then this is the L of your hand. So you put your hand around your belly button like
Mm-hmm.
that. That facilitates, it's a hand mudra that facilitates internal listening. And so then you have a little conversation with your gut as well. And you can, like, thank these parts, right? Thank you for keeping the blood coursing through my veins. Thank you for digesting the food and the information that comes your way. And then you take it all the way up to the head and pay attention to your head and allow it to kind of calm down and settle down. Like, a symptom of us relying too much on our head brain is when we have all that back and forth decision making. Should I, shouldn't I, should I, shouldn't I? And we get in a bit of a tailspin. And a lot of that is what creates anxiety in the first place, is indecisiveness and worrying about the outcomes of our choices.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we can settle that part down and give it actually some extra information so it doesn't have to go back and forth like this, then it's so much easier to make a wise decision, what I call accessing your wise choice ability.
Mm-hmm.
And so you go through this process and you start with your heart. So if you've got something that you want to consider, a decision that you're considering, you start with your heart. You go down, give your attention to your belly, up to the head, and then back to the heart again. And what I can tell you is that your heart and your belly are going to give you information in their language. So the language of the heart is typically emotion and images and metaphors. And the language of the belly is typically more the kind of the visceral body type feelings. And so really your head's job is to interpret that information and put it into words and language. Because the subconscious stuff, it comes from a young place, from places in our development when we didn't have a lot of language. And a great clue for whether you are really accessing that information, your full-bodied wisdom or not, is actually how sophisticated the messages are that are coming through. So if you find that you're having like very sophisticated language coming through, that's probably your head wrestling control away from everything else because that's what it's used to doing.
Got it. So I know that there's a decision that many of my ladies are trying to make as they listen to us. And that is, should I take action, right? Should I, in fact, get out there and start buying real estate? Now, there are a lot of ladies that have already bought real estate. So for them, the question is, should I buy more? Should I wait on the sidelines? Especially right now, the economy has been doing some funny things this year in 2020, right? And so there's a lot of like external information, a lot of fear that is fed to us by the media. And I'm not trying to discount any of that stuff. There is a lot going on. And I said in one of my shows earlier, you know, there's a lot of people predicting what the world is going to look like and what's going to happen. And you know what? Some of those people are going to be right because that's inevitable. But it's really hard to predict really what's going to happen in the markets, right? So really what it comes down to is it time for me personally to act? And what does that look like? Because I recommend for everybody that if you're going to be in real estate, you want to be there in the long term anyways. So you're not going to be as sensitive to the movements of the market, right? So really it comes down to, is it the right time for you? So could we possibly walk through that process of sort of how you might make that decision?
So are you asking me, should we do the kind of the walking through the talking to your head, your heart and your gut with that particular question in mind?
Yes. Would that be okay?
Awesome. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Good.
I'd love to take your beautiful ladies through that. Okay, so, and Monica, follow along with, of course.
I will.
Maybe you may have more certainty around that because of your level of experience that you have here, but perhaps there's another question. And then I'm going to be really interested to see what it is that comes through for you as you go through this process. So perhaps we can chat about that a little bit after we're done with it.
I would love to.
Okay. All right, ladies. So hopefully, obviously, don't do this while you're driving.
If you're driving, listen.
Yeah. Speaking of making good decisions.
Right. You can listen to this again later.
Yes. Make sure that you're in a safe and comfortable place where you won't be disturbed. And this is just really an opportunity to pause. We have so much hecticness in our lives. And I think, you know, in some ways with what's happened today in the world, in some ways it's given us so much opportunity to pause that we're sick to death of it. And there are ways in which we pause, right? Like we can, you know, feel like the brakes have been put on because external circumstances are causing that for us and go into resistance to it. And that's not the type of pausing that we're doing here today, ladies. We're doing the self-empowering pausing. Let's take a moment to really get in touch with what I call your innate wisdom, your inner wisdom. And the answers will come up differently for each of you out there based on your specific, unique situation and your life mission. So if you just put your hand, oh, there we go. I'm whacking my microphone again. Sorry about that, guys. We might have to edit that one out.
No worries.
All right. So take your hand and put it on your heart. And of course, I will keep my eyes open because I am talking to you, but do feel free as you go through this process to close your eyes. It does allow you to go more internal. And then just take 3 deep, slow, leisurely, luxurious belly breaths. Many of my clients, when I start working with them, breathe off the chest, and that actually is a dynamic that mechanically creates more anxiety. But when you slow your breath down and you really allow your muscles in your belly to soften, maybe even loosen a button or two, and just allow that very soft expansion of your belly. Oh, feels good just to do
I like to say with that, to imagine the breath goes all the way down and it tickles the back of your belly button.
Oh, that's beautiful. All right, ladies, get your internal feathers out and tickle the back of that belly button. And now what I want you to do is just say, hello, heart. This is me. This is me, Toni Maree. And I'm here today and I want to have a conversation with you. I'm so grateful for you, for the ways in which you continually beat and take care of me and keep me going, keep the blood and the nutrition and the oxygen circulating throughout my body and bringing me life. And I want to ask you a question. And the question is it in my highest interest? And is it in the highest interest of those I serve for me to be investing in real estate right now? And then just allow yourself to be quiet. Something may come or it may not come. It's just like anything that we learn to do. We're exercising new muscles. And you may not get the 100-pound weight, the first time, but you might get a 3 or a 5-pound one. And so just let it rest there in your heart for a moment and take one more breath. And then allow your hand to lower as you exhale to your belly. Say, hello, belly. Hello, gut. We ladies oftentimes have some pretty mixed emotions about our bellies and our guts, depending on how we judge them in comparison to other people's ideas of what's beautiful. And just allow yourself to love on your belly, regardless of whether you think it fits into any ideal. Because what is ideal about it is that it is your gut and it digests your nutrition for you, and it digests and transforms all of that information that's out there that surrounds us through the ethers. There's so much information out there, and this is how we hone into our instincts, is by processing on a multitude of levels and allowing that information that's being gathered to come to conscious awareness when it's something that's truly important for us to be aware of. So literally what we're doing is we're going to ask the gut as well, is it in my highest interest and in the highest interest of the people that I serve? And that may be your family, it may be your pets, it may be an extended family or a group of people that you professionally have responsibility for or relationship with. But your people, you hold stewardship for your people. And now that you've had that conversation with the gut, we're just going to put our hand back on the heart again. And just take a few breaths and just listen. And imagine the information percolating up from your gut to your heart. The vagus nerve, which connects all three of these intelligences, 70% of the fibers actually run upwards, which is why our subconscious programs control us. And even when there's something we consciously want, if the subconscious is not in alignment with it, it's unlikely to happen. Because 70% overrides 30%. So allow that information superhighway traverse that information up from the gut to the heart. And now from the heart, send that up to your head. And just allow yourself to breathe into your head. You can put your hand on your head if you like. Hello, head. Thank you so much for all the ways in which you express my intelligence. All the ways in which you guide me and assess things, and how you keep me safe. And you allow me to function in the world, and you give me language. And just express some gratitude and take some deep breaths in and direct your breath upwards to your head, as if it's a bubble or a hot air balloon floating upwards to your head. And just listen. Is it in my highest interest and the highest interest of those I serve for me to be investing in real estate right now? You may hear some simple words internally, an internal voice. Usually it's a simple sentence, or you may see some images, or you may experience some feelings in your body. And just observe. And now take it back down to your heart, who is your CEO and the final decision maker. Heart, I trust that you will give me the guidance that I need most right now. Thank you for serving me. Thank you for listening to the information from my gut and from my head. And I trust that you will help me make the best choices for my life. Oh, and then take a deep breath in. Scrunch your shoulders up and your fists and just go tight, 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 tight. Screw up your face. It's really attractive. Don't you dare use this as the screenshot for our podcast. Oh, and then let it go.
Oh, that was so good.
You are so welcome.
Yeah,
and you may not have an answer like that, but sometimes interesting things can happen. You go through a dialogue in that, and suddenly just some new information filters through that wasn't there before in the next couple of days.
And you could do it a couple of different times, correct?
Oh, yeah.
To really open that up.
Yeah. Anytime I have an important decision to make.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're guiding people through it and you're facilitating it and it's the first time, it takes a while.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, it really doesn't take that long once you've developed the skill. Mm-hmm. Like anything, it's a skill to develop, right? So I can literally just kind of, I do my breaths. I'll usually do something like this after I've done some sort of one of my morning meditations or self-hypnosis type dynamics. And then I'll just kind of go through it if I've got something that I'm really unclear on.
Yes.
Yeah. I do want to add a caveat, if that's okay. The caveat, Monica, is that this is not a guarantee that your life is going to be 100% hunky-dory, right? It's not necessarily going to mean that you are going to be protected from any adversity, because that's a part of life, and sometimes it can be a part of our life experience for us to grow. What this will do is, when you know that you have made a decision and you've really paused and you've really accessed your guidance and you've made your decision from that place, then regardless of the outcome, you can still feel good about the decision you've made. Whereas I don't know about you, Monica, but I've certainly had times in my life where I have made decisions from fear or greed or just like whatever the lower motivators are at play at the time. And then if I get undesirable consequences, then I really beat myself up because I know I wasn't in alignment when I made that choice in the first place. And trust me, it's so much easier if you get results that you're not thrilled with, but you know that you've made that choice from true authenticity. Life is just so much easier.
Yeah, I love that. And thank you for that caveat. Because I think the other thing is a decision today does not preclude another decision on the same topic tomorrow or next week. So I would like to talk a little bit about what my experience was going through this. I know you asked me to do that, and Tony, I'm excited to share because I think that it'll be valuable to the ladies to kind of see what happened for me. So I have an investor who is interested in investing with me on another piece of property. I normally don't take money with investors, but this is family, and it makes a lot of sense. And so I am looking at investing in property right now. There's some other things that are going on that are interesting, and it's a long story, so I'm not going to go into it, but there is some question as to, is this the right time for me or not? And it's not about market conditions. This is really about relationships and some other things that are going on. I have a building project going on, and I'm trying to qualify for a loan for that. So is this the right time to also invest in something else? My mind says yes, because if I get into something else now, I get the loan for this other project. I'll have two projects going simultaneously. One will be getting permits while the other one's being built. And when that one gets done, then I'll have my permits. You get the idea. Like if you actually think through the whole business and how that works, there's a lot going on. So, but the question inside of me was, is it time? Is it time to take this investor's money and actually buy a piece of property right now? And what was so fascinating about that is when I touched my heart, there was a screaming, no! Which I was really surprised at because I don't have that reaction around real estate. That was really funny. And then I went down to my gut and I got, you will know when it's the right time. So where my heart was emotionally attached to the no way, not right now, my gut was reinforcing the no, right, not right now, but it was also saying you will know. So it's not a no forever. It's a you will know when the right time is.
That's perfect.
Yeah. And then when I went up to my brain, I had that conversation about, okay, so after this loan goes, then we can apply for that one and let's balance this out a little bit. Don't get too excited because I get really excited, about buying. I love that. But what was fascinating about this is like now, as I've gone through that process, I have an answer and I will revisit it. And I kind of have a tickler, like I'll actually put it in my calendar, right? I have a tickler that I will revisit this in this many days or after I get my loan or whatever it is, right? But the initial response was I got exact opposite responses. My heart was like, no! And my gut and my brain were like, yeah! So it was an interesting, until I really settled into it, I wasn't able to get alignment. But when people can't get there, this is my question for you, Tony, is Maree, I'm sorry, when you get there and you're getting opposite instructions, how do you deal with that? Or what would you recommend?
Well, I love that you share this. So one of the things that I'm curious about, Monica, is when you did your last pass back to the heart, had anything shifted by that point?
Yes. So in my heart, I had completely relaxed, like the answer that I was getting, it was completely aligned. But what if I hadn't been able to get there?
Typically, that is indicative of either timing. There's either a timing thing going on, or there's more information that is yet to be revealed. And I find, sometimes I go through that conversation with myself. Now, I'm not saying that procrastination isn't a thing, because it is, and I am definitely sometimes guilty of being a procrastinator. And sometimes it's because I've, set an intention to do something, and then for whatever reason, I'm just like, I just don't want to do this. I just don't want to do this. And oftentimes that's because there's new information that needs to come to light.
Mm-hmm.
And I can give you a quick and dirty example of that. I have a client who's among other things, he works with a lot of financial people, and he does a podcast. And I have just recently started my podcast, and we were in conversation about it. He was giving me some advice about how to go about doing that. And we were playing with names, and we sort of brainstormed back and forth with it for a while. And it was just, nothing was just kind of really coming. And part of me was in the, no, I have to make this decision right now sort of thing. And then I said to him, Paul, I think I have to go to Home Depot. Like, I don't know why. I don't think I'm going to get this name until I go to Home Depot. And I mean, it was a Saturday, and I had intended to go to Home Depot, but it was just like, yeah, I really got very clearly that I was not going to get that name until I went to Home Depot. And so, we talked about a few other things and then ended the call, and I got in the car and I went to Home Depot. And of course, we're in the middle of the whole COVID thing. So I was standing outside with my mask on, with my shopping cart, waiting 6 feet apart to line up. And this guy walks up with his shopping cart and his mask, and he has a t-shirt on that says "Legacy in the Making."
Ooh.
And I'm like, that's my podcast.
Wow.
And so sometimes if you don't have clarity yet, it could just mean that I do believe that it opens the doorway up for that clarity to come in.
Mm-hmm.
And so just be patient. Like, a lot of it's to do with pausing and being patient with ourselves, loving on ourselves, having gratitude for what we do have, for these amazing mechanisms in our body that are miracles. And then the other thing that I would say is really just like anything, it really is something that takes practice. And especially if you are not used to using these other intelligences. I find, Monica, in particular, the clients that I have that are really academically smart, like the ones that have multiple degrees and graduate degrees and masters and all that kind of stuff, their head has really served them well in so many ways. And they are often the ones that struggle with this the most. So, maybe that's just a making meaning thing too. Like, if you are struggling with this, it might just mean that you're a really smart person, but it's time to start accessing the other parts of your smart.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I love that. I love that. That was such a magical experience for me. So I've done something similar in the past, but nothing with that level of alignment and clarity. Just unbelievable. Thank you so much, Toni Maree.
You are so welcome, Monica. I would love to hear, do you have comments and things on your
I don't podcast? On the podcast, but people are going to we're going to let them know how to get in touch with you. And
awesome.
So ladies, that you can email me. But Toni Maree is also going to tell you right now how you can get in touch with her.
I love it. So you can go to tonimaree.com. That's Toni with a Y, Maree with 2 E's.
Like Monica.
Yes, we were joking earlier that we're the double E club.
Yes.
And then, of course, if you wish to email me and tell me what your experience was with this process, I would just love to hear. And that is Toni Maree at tonimaree.com. So TonyMaree at tonimaree.com.
Nice. Very, very good. And of course, that will be in the show notes. So you guys can look that up there. And then, Toni Maree, tell us about the gift that they will find when they go to your website.
When you go to my website, you are going to find the Path to Purpose Master Plan. And I know that a lot of people talk about purpose, and I can tell you that this process is a proprietary process where I help you access those subconscious superpowers that we just spend a little bit of time accessing. And so you're going to set up not just clarity about your purpose, but you will set it up in a way that it speaks volumes to your subconscious intelligences. And the subconscious is in charge of everything that we do on autopilot. So it really is designed to put your purpose on autopilot so it informs all your important decisions.
I love that. So yes, check that out at tonymaree.com. Awesome. So we're going to go into our 3 rapid fire questions, but before we do that, I wanted to tell everybody what we're going to be doing in Extra. Could you share with my ladies what they're going to get in Extra? Because this is going to be amazing too.
Absolutely. So in Extra today, we are going to go through a process that helps you eliminate the fear barrier. We all have that. And the trouble with going into fear and anxiety is that one of the things that it does that does not serve us is it shuts off our prefrontal cortex, which is actually the modern part of our brain. And then we go into reptilian brain. That's the bit that is based all about our survival, but doesn't always serve us well because it doesn't have the sophisticated cognitive processing powers. And so when we go into fear, we're almost always making decisions that don't serve us. In a modern context, obviously, if you're walking down a dark alley and you're feeling afraid, that's a whole other story and get the heck out of there. But in the modern world, when we make decisions from that place, it does not serve us. So I'm going to teach your audience, Monica, all about this great process that I have. It has the acronym RID FEAR. So it's my RID FEAR process.
Yay! So the process that you shared with us in this portion of the show was amazing. I just can't wait to share this with the ladies on the next portion. So ladies, stay tuned for Extra. But before we even go there, let's do our 3 rapid fire questions. Are you ready?
Absolutely.
Okay, so Tony Maree, tell us one strategy on how to be successful in real estate investing.
Well, of course, probably like many of your guests, they would say, listen to Monica. That's a good strategy. And I could probably tell you some really practical things like make sure that your credit's well taken care of and all those kinds of things. But really, the main thing for me, because obviously I'm a lot about the inner game, creating the outer results, is make it about something more than the money. There's a lot of studies out there now. They've discovered that when people think about money, they actually get selfish. And that is because they're going into that reptilian brain stuff that's all about the survival. Whereas when we are feeling more altruistic, we have other reasons for why it is that we're investing, then that allows us to keep that access to our prefrontal and our sophisticated thinking and decision-making mechanisms. And of course, it just allows us to be better people and in a better place with ourselves. So an example of that is my client, Reed, who is the one that introduced Monica and I. So for Reed, what he's got like a $250,000 portfolio that he's been building over the last 2 years. And for him, when we went in and we worked out what was really going on with his life purpose and what was really important to him, it's all about natural resources. So when he gets these big multifamily buildings, one of the things that is a non-negotiable for him is that they go through and they install landscaping that is low water use. They install low water use plumbing and toilets and things like that, and any other energy efficient measures that they can do. And that is truly in alignment with him and what he's doing. And it's no big surprise that he's been phenomenally successful.
Wow. I love that. It's so funny because I asked the questions backwards and now I sort of know why the universe guided me that way. But so that's sort of how to be successful. That's like the long-term strategy on how to create true success in business, right?
Yeah.
What would you say is a super tip on just getting started, that first step, getting started investing in real estate?
So this is probably another slightly counterintuitive answer, but one of the best things that you can ever do is build on your communication and negotiation skills.
Mm-hmm.
Every step of the real estate process involves relationship, it involves negotiation, and it involves the ability to be able to look at the different sides of the equation, make good decisions, and to recruit other people to support you.
Yes. Oh, I love that. And then what would you say is one daily practice that you do that contributes to your personal success?
Well, as among other things, a certified clinical hypnotherapist and a rapid transformational therapist, I'm all about self-hypnosis. And
Mm.
so breath practice and going through and having that communication with the subconscious and building that body of magnetism that allows me to create in the world without putting too much heavy duty effort into it, that's the most powerful thing. And when I was doing real estate investing, I'm not actively doing it right now, but I have done a lot in the past, and Monica and I were talking about that earlier. I was one of the people that made it through just fine through the 2008 crash and
Yay.
continued to make money. And I
Mm-hmm.
know that a lot of that was to do with the fact that I just had opportunities showing up. And the reason why they showed up was because I was doing my inner work.
I love that. Thank you so much. Well, this show has been magical. Thank you so much, Toni Maree, for what you've already offered my audience.
You are so welcome, Monica. Really happy to be of service. And I love real estate investing, ladies. You just have fun with it.
Yeah, it can be really, really fun. I know sometimes it seems
Yeah.
so scary, but it can be so fun.
Yeah, just remember to keep in touch with the joy.
Yes, absolutely. With the bliss. Yay. And
Bliss,
we've
of course.
got, yay. So and we've got so much more coming in extra. So we're going to be talking about how to get past the pain, not the pain, the fear barrier in extra. So if you are subscribed to extra, stay tuned. That's coming up. If you're not, but would like to be, just go to realestateinvestingforwomenextra.com. That's realestateinvestingforwomenextra.com. And you get the first 7 days for free. So you can get this cool new thing that Toni Maree is going to be talking about getting past our fear. You can download as many and binge on as many episodes as you would like. And then you can decide if it's for you or not. So go check it out for sure, okay? realestateinvestingforwomenextra.com. If you are leaving us now, thank you so much for joining Toni Maree and I for this portion of the show. I appreciate you, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next time. And until then, always remember, goals without action are just dreams. So get out there, take action, and create the life your heart deeply desires. I'll see you soon. Bye. I hope you enjoyed today's show. If you'd like to download my favorite investing strategy, just go to blissfulinvestor.com. See you next time.